They may not be the insane value that they once were, but in 2022, the Seiko 5 series, the SRPE, is still one of the best watches that you can buy for under £300. Welcome back to the Vintage Warlock channel. I hope you are all safe and well, and today we are going to be having a look at a Seiko. This Seiko is from the Seiko 5 range, which is Seiko's value for money range that is meant for people who want an automatic watch on a budget or people who are just starting out in horology and watch collecting. We are having a look at the SRPE series, and I've bought the version with the black face and the gilt handset because, as you all know, gilt is one of my favourite tones to have on a watch, especially an everyday piece. Now, before we get into the review, let's have a look at the specifications of this watch. So first of all, it has the caliber 4R36, also known as the NH36. It is an automatic and manual winding movement. It hacks, it hand winds. It's got a power reserve of approximately 41 hours, 24 joules, and this watch is the 36 version, so it has a day date display, which displays itself at around the 3 o'clock area. In terms of measurements, first of all, this construction is stainless steel throughout. You've got a thickness of 11.5 millimeters, a diameter of 40 millimeters, but a really compact lug to lug of 44.6 millimeters. Crystal covering the dial is Hardlex. You've got Seiko's Loomy Bright on the hands and indices, which gives it incredible loom. And it's got the threefold clasp with a push button release as well. You have solid links on the bracelet. You do have hollow end links though. To round off this list of specifications, you have a water resistance of 100 meters, a weight with all of the links added in of 142 grams, a see-through case back with Hardlex crystal, and you've got a screw-in case back, just a push-pull crown, and a threefold security lock on the bracelet itself. This watch actually comes in a lot of different colorways, and you can get this in a lot of different features as well in terms of the bracelet and the case. So the version that I have is the stainless steel silver case and bracelet with the black face with the gilt tones. I think that is probably one of the best, if not the best model. You've got the plain black dial, you've got a blue dial, you've got two tones as well, and you've got various other versions such as a grey dial too. You can also get this watch on a Zulu style NATO strap as well, which goes across that. 20mm lug width means that you can pretty much swap this out for anything. So of course, when it came to choosing my choice of colorway, I went for the black and gilt. As you know, black and gilt is one of my favorite things to have on a watch. If you don't know that, you'll know that my favourite watch in my collection at the moment is the Tudor Black Bay, which again has a very similar aesthetic when it comes to gilt hands. This also does have a bit of a whiff of Black Bay 36 about it. Again, not a straight up homage whatsoever. This is taken from the SKX, so it's more of an original design from Seiko. But I think when you add the gilt tones to it, it does give that sort of a bit of an edge. In terms of the dial itself, you've got an applied Seiko logo just underneath the 12 o'clock, and then you've got a printed 5 and automatic, and then underneath in very small print you have Japan movement, and that's all the writing that you've got on the dial, so that keeps it really simple and really nice. In terms of the indices, you have a triangle applied indice at 12, applied batons at 6 and 9. Obviously you have the date and day window at 3 o'clock, and you have circular indices throughout. The loom on this watch, as I mentioned before, is pretty good considering the price that you're paying for this watch. The day date wheel on the Seiko isn't colour matched, unfortunately. In fact, it is colour matched only on one model, which is the PVD black version, where you've got a black day date complication. I think that's a bit of a mistake. You've got a green bezel, you've got some blue, and you've got some grey bezel, some grey dials as well. However, with the black ones, I don't see why they wouldn't have just made it a match day date wheel. I think it would have added an extra level to this watch. However, all of the aspects of the dial come together, and I think it does come together quite well, making this watch a little more dressier, which is why a lot of YouTube reviewers have called this one the Dress KX, or the Seiko 5 Dress KX. Now, we'll get back to the video in just a moment, but I need to take a few minutes of your time to talk to you about Revolut. I'm an affiliate of Revolut, but not just an affiliate of Revolut Banking, I'm also a customer. I've been using Revolut Banking for a few years now, and it is for me the most perfect expense and investing app that I could hope for. I have accounts set up in US dollars, Canadian dollars, as my folks live there, euros, and of course the not so great British pound, but there are many more that you can choose from. All are relating to independent bank accounts, but they give you full control and access of your banking experience, and including what currency you want to send and receive money in, giving you the best value for money. But that's not all. Revolut also lets you invest in stocks and crypto, set up savings account, and create disposable single-use cards to be used along with your regular cards, making things such as online purchases for your next watch shop super secure. Revolut is simple and easy to use, and most importantly, it's completely free. Sign up today, link in the description. Now, let's finish off this video. The case of the dial is pretty good. So it is mainly a mixture of brushing and polishing throughout. You've got brush sort of on the top and on the bottom, and on the sides, and the bezel itself is more polished. On the crown itself, it is unsigned, which is something that you unfortunately get with Seiko for the Seiko 5 range. They don't sign the crowns for you. It is push-pull, but will still give you 100 meters of water resistance. The crown guards come out in such a way that does obviously remind you of the SKX or the SRPD ranges as well, and obviously that's going to be an intentional styling cue from the brand. Back of the watch, you can see the display case back, which is covered again with Hardlex crystal. It has the specifications of the watch on there as well, including the 10 bar or 100 meters of water resistance, Seiko, and it also has stainless steel and the movement number, which is the 4R36. This movement is the same as you would expect from any NH36. It's rugged, reliable, robust. This watch, since I've had it, has probably been, I think, maybe gaining 3 seconds a day. It's not particularly rubbish by any means, and it's a pretty good timepiece, so you can't really say much more about that. It's a nice simple movement, but it does the job and it does it well. Solid links on this watch as well means that it does wear pretty nicely when on wrist. It's nice and comfortable. It's just a normal faux 3-link. It looks like a 3-link, but they're all single links going through, and it's push pull. The bracelet itself, although good, not outstanding. The clasp, however, is just a normal fold over security clasp. It's nothing great. It's not cheap and nasty, but it's just a very basic bog standard clasp for a watch of this caliber. What I've done since buying it is I've actually gone to Uncle Seiko and I've bought a presidential style bracelet. Now, arguably the clasp on a presidential style bracelet from Uncle Seiko is worse than you would get on the SRPE, but the reason why I got it is because I thought this watch had a bit of a vintage look to it, more of like a Rolex style look. So I got a presidential bracelet which tapers dramatically, and I think that sort of transforms the watch and makes it look more like a vintage piece. Don't have any videos on that at the moment on here because I'm doing it just as is, but I thought it was important to add for the review that I have upgraded the bracelet since buying it, not because it's rubbish, but just because I want to mess around with this watch a little more. Another area of this watch that I might change at some point is the Hardlex crystal over the front of it. So Hardlex is Seiko's own proprietary mineral style crystal. Again, it's okay. It's not brilliant though. You would always prefer a sapphire crystal, and the aftermarket or the modding scene within the Seiko range is legendary, and there are lots of areas you can go to, whether you're going to have a look on eBay or AliExpress or wherever it is that you would look for modding, where you could potentially buy a sapphire crystal that can go in the front of this watch and make it look more like a watch which has a either anti-reflective undercoating or just something that, you know, feels a little better on wrist, and I think sapphire does add that extra to it. So again, for the price that you're paying, you expect Hardlex. You know, you're not going to be surprised by the fact that it's going to be Hardlex crystal over the front of it, But if you want to be able to upgrade, again, because the aftermarket with Seiko is so vast, you're going to be able to do that, and you're going to be able to get a nice crystal over the front of the watch. Also, this is my second Seiko, and this is the second Seiko watch I've had with no alignment issues. I think one of the reasons why this watch probably doesn't have any alignment issues is because I've got a fixed bezel that hasn't got any markers on it, and also this watch doesn't have, apart from the minute track, it doesn't have any diving sort of equipment or anything else on it. So I've been quite lucky in that instance. I do want to buy a Seiko diver at one point. However, my argument with that is that I can't really justify another diver in my collection at the moment. I currently have the Mido Ocean Star, I have the Orient Triton, which is my sort of beta diver if you like, and then my favourite diver at the minute is the Tudor Black Bay. But I do want to get some more Seikos in for review, so if you guys have got any suggestions of Seikos, please leave that in the comments below and I'll have a look and see if I can get my hands on any of them for review. Back to this watch. What do I think of it? What do I recommend that you buy it? I think if you can find this watch for under £200 in the UK or $200 in the US, it's probably one to grab a hold of. It's much better than the Casio Edifice, just in terms of quality, which I reviewed last week. However, it's still not as good as, you know, watches like my Hamilton Khaki Field, for example, which arguably is for me one of the ultimate everyday watches that you can have on a budget. However, this does bridge the gap in between in terms of price. Yes, you've got the Hardlex crystal, yes, you've got the unside crown, you've got hollow end links, but for the price that you're paying, I think you have to be realistic. Also with this watch, something I didn't mention before is the drilled lugs at the end of it, which means that this watch is going to be a strap monster. You can wear it on different straps, and it's a very wearable 20mm strap. So the SRPE, what do you guys think of it? Is it a good watch? Is it a bad watch? Have you bought one? Have you had any alignment issues? Let me know in the comments below. Be really appreciated. Also, in the description is a link to my Instagram page. If you want to give me a follow on there, please do. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe to this video. We have more videos coming out over the next few weeks with more watches from different areas, whether it's China, Japan or Swiss, and I've got some really interesting vintage models lined up as well. Also, there is a link to Revolut at the bottom. I did mention in the clip that I played earlier that I am an affiliate of Revolut. If you guys sign up for it, again, completely free. It does really support the channel and support me. It helps me buy more watches, which I can then review for you guys as well. I'm trying to do as many bought reviews as I can do without borrowing from other places. I know eventually I will need to borrow from other places, but I'm doing my best at the minute to try and get a watch bought in myself so that I can give it the most critical view of things that I can. Anyway guys, take care. I'll see you all in a future video.